Oh, hey, welcome to week 7 of Books Being Sick. I am Nick, and we're almost at the 2-month mark with these videos, which is pretty cool. I think it's going to be really exciting once we hit like the 80-week mark, and I can be like, welcome to week 87 of Books Being Sick. This has just been really fun to do. I'm loving doing these weekly book videos where there's just no real structure. I can just kind of talk about whatever I want in the book world or whatever. So that's what we're going to do again in week 7. Excuse me. First off here, I'm going to talk about the book I finished most recently, and then we're going to jump into the book I just started last night. I've got some recommendations for books you can read on the toilet, and then I also have some recent book pickups. Most of them are thrift. There's 5. 4 of them are thrift. 1 of them is new. However, the new one actually looks like it was thrifted because it showed up and it was like super dirty. I was like, do I send this back? I'll show you. You can tell me what you think. Maybe I think I'm just going to keep it. However, the first book that I finished this month, actually that's not true. I technically finished White Nights this month by Dostoevsky, but that's like pretty short. So the first book that I finished is Under the Banner of Heaven by Jon Krakauer. I finished that yesterday, and I gotta say, Jon Krakauer is probably one of, I haven't read a lot of nonfiction, but to date he's got to be my favorite nonfiction writer. I'm really loving Eric Larson as well, but there's just something about the way he unravels it. Like, he kind of just tells you straight up, this is what's what, and kind of just leaves you to decide whether that's good or bad. You know what I mean? Which I kind of enjoy. You can kind of make up your own mind. I knew nothing about this religion, about Mormons. I didn't know anything about it. Like, I've heard of, the Book of Mormon. I've heard of all this, the play and all that. And its success, but I didn't know anything about the birth of this, or any of the situations that followed. And it's a pretty devastating read. It's a pretty shocking read. It's kind of one of those books where the whole time I was just like, you sure? Like, think about this. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's very shocking how indoctrinating these things can be. And I just would highly recommend that to anybody. This is actually an older-ish book. I believe this came out in 2002. So it's over 20 years old at this point. And so, in this book, we're learning all about Mormonism and it's how it came to be and all the founders. And it's pretty interesting. Again, for someone who didn't know a single thing about this, very thought-provoking book, and highly recommend that one. So that was my first kind of real book read of the month. And then last night I just started Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I barely into this. I'm only like 20 pages in. I just started it in bed last night and then fell asleep. I can tell I'm probably gonna like this. I gotta read a little bit more to have a real good idea of what I'm in for here. But so far, the writing is really, really nice, and I'm enjoying the small town hockey vibes of this. So Beartown is what I'm reading next. Excited for that. Frederick Bachman, again, I've mentioned this before on this channel, but it seems like a really cool guy. Good Instagram follow. He's got some good writing tips on there. And Beartown is next. So I'm going to give you guys 3 books, or a few books that you can read on the toilet, because they're really, really short. So the first one here is Galatea by Madeline Miller. This one's really, really short. You could probably read this in 15 minutes, and that's what I did. This was finished in the bathroom, and it was really, really enjoyable. Ancient Greek history. It's really fun. I didn't know anything about Galatea. Really beautifully written. Madeline Miller is just insane. Like, she's the best. So, yeah, definitely check that one out. If you need to really scare the crap out of yourself, The Yellow Wallpaper is a good one to do that for. It's about 20-30 minutes for the average person, probably. It took me about that. And I've talked about it a billion times. I don't need to get into it again, but very scary, very good book. And if you are kind of allergic to dairy, like I am, and say you had a lot of cream cheese in the morning and you had some ice cream the night before, and maybe you had a grilled cheese sandwich for lunch, and you're feeling like it's going to be a rough day, grab a Claire Keegan book. I've got these 3 here. Put them in your bathroom. By the end of the day, you'll be through one, and you'll be so happy that you did, because, again, Claire Keegan's books are so beautiful, and I love her so much. So definitely do that if you're going to have the poops that day. It's a good thing to do. Okay, and finally, we're just going to get into book pickups here. This might be a bit of a shorter video, but I'm cool with that. So, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'll show you the one that I bought new first. So I was really excited about this. Clockwork Orange Clockwork Orange. I don't know if you can tell. It might not really pick up on camera so well, but it was like it's like super, you know, kind of. It looks used, like it looks pretty dirty, and I bought it new, and I was like, I'm not really one that cares about that, but just the principle behind buying something new and it being super dirty. You know what I mean? I think I'm just going to keep it. It's a really cool looking cover. This is like a Penguin Classic cover or something like that, restored edition. And I'm excited to read this. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I used to love this movie growing up, oddly enough, and I remember back in the DVD age of life, I would sometimes put it on and fall asleep to it at night, and then I'd wake up in the middle of the night to the menu screen that would just be blaring this like horrifying music with these visuals, and it was just like, oh. I had a few mornings where I'd wake up and be like, yeah. So I'm excited to read the book. I read the first few pages, and oh my goodness, I'm actually glad that I've seen the movie so many times, because I think I would be pretty confused, honestly. However, I'm gonna try and just go through it and see if, similar to the Dostoevsky book, if the language just kind of starts clicking, because it's very a lot of what seem like made up words, you know what I mean, to describe things that you just need to figure out. So yeah, Clockwork Orange, that's gonna be, I was gonna maybe add that onto my list for this month. I don't know if that's realistically gonna happen at this point, but I'm gonna read it maybe next month then. If I don't get to it this month. These are all the used ones. This was $4.99 at Value Village. That seems high to me. I don't know. Maybe it's not. It seems high to me. But that's Butcher's Crossing by John Williams. From what I know of this book, it is a Western, or maybe almost kind of like an anti-Western. It's about a man traveling through the American West and kind of just facing the elements, and as beautiful as they are, they can be hard to get through, I guess, is kind of the point of this book. So I'm excited to read that. I believe, is this the same John Williams that did Stoner? If it is, I'm excited to read both of those. I think it is, because these editions look like they go together. So Butcher's Crossing was the first one that I got. Also picked up Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This was $4.49. I don't know how they decipher that. This is $4.99. I don't know. This is a movie that I haven't seen, but I've heard people like it quite a bit, and it's got like one of the scariest scenes of it ever in that movie. Anyways, this is, I believe, about 4 scientists that travel into this world. Like, you guys would have to tell me if you've read this book, because I haven't read it. But that's about as much as I know. It's about the 4 scientists that kind of travel into this cosmic sort of monstrous world, and that they just kind of start decaying or something like that. I'm very excited about this one. This is under 200 pages. I've heard fantastic things about this. Whenever I go to my bookstore, they've got the staff recommendations on a shelf there, and this one's almost always on there. So I don't know. Seems like it's going to be good. Excited for Annihilation. I've just got 2 more here. I found Blaze by Stephen King, writing as Richard Bachman. This is one that I've actually never seen while thrifting, or even like at a store. So I was excited to see it, and I'm going to read this probably not this year if I'm honest, but maybe next year. And I was actually looking this book up because I don't know anything about Blaze, and this is a book that Stephen King actually found in his attic, I guess, sometime after his writing career got going. And he actually said that he wrote this before Carrie. So this is like the OG, you know what I mean? Because I had always thought that Carrie was the very first one, and I feel like a lot of people would have assumed the same thing. And I guess technically, in terms of like book releases, it still is. However, he did say that he wrote this before Carrie, so I'm excited to check that out. Blaze, cool cover. Yeah, we'll see how that is. I want to say, is that in different seasons, or I might be making that up. Only one more here. I always say like, oh, this is going to be a really short video, and then it still ends up being like close to 10 minutes. Okay. We got this one was $5.49. Guys, help me out here. This is $3.49. This is $4.49. This is $4.99, and this was $5.49. How are they pricing these? Like, I do not. It's a whole nother conversation, but I'm getting frustrated with the Value Village pricing. Okay, so the final one I got here is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. This is obviously an American classic, one of the most popular books ever written. Most people have at least heard of this book, so I'm excited to read it because I don't know what it's about. Shocking. It's from what I understand, it's someone they're kind of traveling across America, going on adventures or something like that. I'm told that a lot of people actually find this book relatively slow, because I guess like there's not really a lot happening. However, the language that Jack Kerouac uses is so beautiful that it just becomes so engaging. And I'm excited to have finally read On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and I kind of like this copy too. I thought that was pretty sick. And yeah, we'll see what that's all about. I don't know if you consider that a classic. I believe this was written in the 50s. When do books become classics? I should look that up. I'm going to look that up real quick, and then I'll cut to my answer. Okay, it's kind of an underwhelming answer. The definition of a classic novel can be hard to pin down. There are plenty of great books, but in order for a book to achieve true classic status, a novel must achieve a level of excellence or enduring cultural relevance that most new books can never obtain. So I guess I was just wondering if there was a number. It's you got to hit 75 years and then you're a classic. I guess that's not the case. Okay, so that's gonna wrap up week 7 of books being sick. Thanks for watching and whatever. That's all I got. Bye.